So, would you rather be stuck in an elevator with a bear or Adam's intro?
A bear, obviously.
Probably a bear. Yeah.
That was like the if they did a play at Guantanamo Bay and they decided to do Trying.
All right. Winter tickets on pre-sale.
They might have chose to waterboard them with it for about 4 minutes.
Yeah, because the only thing good about the second Tron was the soundtrack. So that movie was terrible, and they're making another one, and that makes me sad. So, but I'll watch it anyway. Robbie,
Every
it's funny
day we
you
stray further from God's light.
Yeah, and it's funny that you brought that up because I was going to bring up the whole man bear, not
Pig.
man bear pig. I knew where that was going before I even finished my sentence. I was going to bring that up because I was thinking about it today. I heard something again today about it, and it kind of infuriates me, but I think that's why social media and the media in general cling to it, is because it is so ignorantly divisive. I think the thing that bothers me the most about it is that if you speak against it at all, it's that whole see, you're part of the problem.
Speak against what? Can we
The
catch
whole-
up
That's
the
where
audience?
I'm wondering.
The whole
I'm
man.
and Doug.
You guys haven't heard of the man bear thing?
I have,
So-
but we should not assume.
Yeah,
Fair
so
enough.
Al
No.
Gore was
You're right.
interviewing some women, and I don't know. It devolved from there.
So the whole thing is that there's this big push in the media about women stating that if they had to choose being alone or lost in the woods with either a bear or a man, they would choose the bear because the only thing that a bear could do is kill you. Right? Or the worst thing that a bear could do is kill you. Right?
I don't know. The worst thing I could do is disembowel you and then leave you there to die for 3 days.
I was about to say, the worst thing it can do is eat you while you're still alive. Other
Right.
than being somehow slowly burnt to death, that's about the most painful way I can think of to go.
The point is that men, they're trying to explain or bring to light all the horrible things that men can do, rape you and torture you and all this stuff, right? And I get that. I do, right? Human beings suck in general. But it just goes back to the fact that women trivialize men constantly while complaining that men objectify them and, reduce them down to the lowest common denominator or whatever. But women do that to men routinely. And this is just another example.
And that's true. And they're, and we can obviously say not in all cases, but it seems like regardless of whether you're talking about politics or gender relations or anything else, it tends to be the loudest fucked up voices that get the most attention.
Sure.
And I'm not shocked that somebody said something like that. But my favorite one, and I cannot remember where I saw it. It was in one of those things where, yes, it depends on where you are in the algorithm. But there was a video, and matter of fact, I think it was the Asian kid that was talking about, hey, what have we done to whites? If we talked about anybody else like this, blah, 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 blah. And what gave me hope personally was there was an Asian female who were talking about if you took the entire population of white people and the entire population of Asian people, that there were actually more Asian women than there were white people in total. And her plan, which I am totally down for. By
Oh,
the
here
way,
we go.
Here we go.
Mark.
I am totally down for this plan. She was like, all us Asian women need to get together and breed white men out of existence. So I'm
I'll
like,
help. I mean,
I'll help. I have no problems with that.
I'll do my
if
part.
because hey, believe me when I say little Asian babies are adorable. I'll be happy to help you make as many as you want to accomplish your goal.
Well, we know what Doug's Pornhub history fucking looks like now. So
Yeah, now.
we never knew before. Do a supercut of Doug talking about large-breasted Asian women.
I mean, the only thing, I mean, it's all right. I think the kind of shit on men a lot because it's not like they kill themselves like 4 times more than women or anything.
No,
Yeah. It's fine.
And we're not allowed to talk about our feelings, but then when we don't talk about our feelings, we're not expressing ourselves or opening up enough.
And then when you open up and you talk about your feelings, when there is something that she doesn't like, and
gets weaponized against you.
Yeah, it gets weaponized against you. And it's like, that's why. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm not saying this to prove a point. Well, I guess I kind of am.
Yeah, he's just saying it to say it for no reason.
Yeah. Well, it's
just moving my vocal cords,
When somebody gets murdered, if they're married, the first person that they look at is their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a very good reason for that. That person,
because statistically speaking, that's who it
knows
is.
Where all of your buttons are. And yeah, if there is, especially, and if somebody is arguing with you from a place of, I am hurting and I want to make you hurt more than I am, or I am angry, therefore I want to hurt you, yada, 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 especially when you have a male-female relationship where it's not socially acceptable to lay your hands on another person, they will find your last nerve, pull out a jackhammer, stand on it, and turn the damn thing on. And, it's like, let's say, and if you turn that situation around, you can have, because it's a common thing where there's a lot of men and there's a lot of women that the last person that they want to turn into, for the men, the last person they want to turn into is their father. If their father was a shitty human being, likewise with the mother, if you if she wound up like in a mental institution or anything like the above, and then she starts ragging on you, well, you're just like your fucking mother, you're going to wind up in whatever too. If the husband got shot, that wouldn't necessarily be that shocking of an outcome. Or she stabbed him with a knife, or, whatever else. Those psychological breaking points are there, and we kind of need to, if you want to truly solve a domestic violence problem, you've got to get at the root of how people are arguing and they're putting themselves in these positions. But I don't think that you're going to correct that behavior. At least it never will happen in my lifetime. Maybe in the world of 2500, if, we don't destroy ourselves before then, if we ever get into Star Trek land.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that that division, there are people that make money off of that division, just like all division. And so it's going to continue. It's going to continue until we melt ourselves with some sort of weaponry. I hate saying that the average cis male has become some kind of an easy target, because I don't want to Andrew Tate anyone. Don't Tate me, bro. But I think it has happened, and I don't know what the root cause of it is. I don't know. Yeah, white men have done horrible things, and so have black men and Asian men and cultures. And I mean, fuck, dude. I don't have a giant cosmic abacus where I'm keeping track of all that shit. But like I said, I think when you say, "Oh, you know, men do horrible things," I've had men do horrible things to me, and so men are horrible. And that's being encouraged. Like, women are encouraging other women to do that, or to tell their story or whatever. And it's infuriating. It's frustrating, because I want to, hashtag not all men, bro.
Well,
Not all men are
I-
like that, but you're trivializing. You're trivializing and saying that I'd rather hang out with a bear because all he can do is murder me, and all other men will torture me and rape me because that's happened to me before. Well, I've had women do fucked up, horrible things to me, but I joke, but I don't think that all women are fucking psychotic whores. I mean, couple
That's
of them
because you're
are.
not a fucking moron.
You know what? You might be onto something there. I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna process that. I'm gonna sit in that. I'm gonna think about that for a while.
well,
Actually, hold on. No, I'm just gonna get offended. Yeah, I'm offended by it. Fuck you. I am a moron, Adam. Fuck you. You trying to take my masculinity from me?
However you want to identify, man. You can be a moron if you want to.
I'm a smart guy with logical reasoning abilities, but I identify as a moron. So,
well, I mean, the thing about it, more than anything else, it's like some of the most aggravating people, and I think anybody who is currently listening to this right now
hi, Adam's
has
mom.
has had the experience of there is some tragic event that is either happening societally or personally to you. And there are certain people who are so attention focused and desire attention so much that they will find a way to turn that subject back on themselves and make themselves the victim out of it. Now, I have known men and women who have done this, but I would say, just from my personal experience, it was more ladies than it was guys. I'm just saying.
No, I would say in my experience, it's the same. And I don't know that we may have had this conversation, but I think social media has amplified that a bit. Some of the weird shit that you hear content creators doing. And I like social media. I watch YouTube shorts and I watch TikTok and stuff like that. Some of it's, there's some funny motherfuckers out there. There's some very clever folks that were just everyday normal people that got a platform, started cutting up little videos, and are funny. And I like them. I mean, like, shit, okay, this guy entertained me for 30 seconds. Cool. My dopamine starved ADHD brain enjoyed that. I'll go on to the next one. So I'm not shitting on all content creators, but you're constantly hearing about people doing stupid fucking things or getting hurt or whatever the case may be. And I know we've talked about the guys like the prank, the prank guy that got shot doing pranks and stuff like that. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay,
And then the other dude that jumped out of a perfectly good plane and just decided to crash it so he could have a video. I mean, it's one thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm sure that there is some scenario in which you could go to the FAA and say, listen, I'm going to make this video an instructional video. So, it's like things could be clear.
Well, movies do it, right? Right. I was going to say movies do it, but they go through permitting processes and There's
Right.
safety coordinators and stuff like that. It's not that you can't, or like you said, hey, I'm going to make an instructional video on how to escape a fucking crashing plane or whatever. But you're right.
And-
When a guy just does it with no concern, I mean, like, you don't know where that plane may have flown another 100 fucking miles by itself for all you know. Crashed
Well,
in
I
San
mean,
Francisco.
and also in the current environment, especially where the guy was flying that's some pretty backwoods, ragged, rugged, very dry territory.
Right. Living in
because
Colorado, we understand where that can go, don't we?
very well. I mean, because we've had, and it's just like when the federal government wanted to do a controlled burn in New Mexico to get rid of some of the flammable materials, and you have professionals with equipment who the fire got out of control for them and wound up with the largest fire in New Mexico history. What was that, last year, the year before?
It was last year.
So I mean, not all things turn out like you intend, and if that guy had turned around and started a fire and that thing wound up getting into it's like it may have had to go uh 40 miles to do it or something else of the sort to get to the closest place, or 100 miles, what have you. But all you need is that one day where you have 100-mile-an-hour winds pop up in the mountains, and that shit, it will run like literal wildfire at 100 miles an hour, driven by the wind. If that turned around and got to a populated area and somebody died, there you go.
Yeah, I don't understand the urge to be famous, even negatively or whatever. I mean,
I do. I get it.
I was getting ready to say, Adam, on the other hand.
You ever look at how much houses cost?
Yeah.
So if rage fame pays, hey, fuck it, it pays a mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, I think most millennials are in the same boat where we're just not going to own homes. So
Fair.
if there's a chance, fuck it. Let's piss everyone off and get some money.
And get a house, yeah. Yeah, Robbie knows all about that, doesn't he?
Yeah,
So
Robbie's video went viral.
The $20 drywall patching job is turned into a $500 patch everything and repaint the walls job. But no, I don't know anything about it.
I was talking to a buddy of mine on Facebook, this guy I've known for years, and he had made a passing comment about, I said something about I haven't bought a house or whatever. And he says, yeah, I shouldn't have. And he bought a house a couple years ago, and I don't know the whole story. I mean, I don't know exactly what's going on, but sounded like, it was getting expensive on him. And as someone who has owned 2 homes, and Doug and Robbie have both owned homes, it's not that I don't want to own a home someday. I'm really more interested in property. I would like to have some property where I can go and like chill. But the thing about owning a home is not only the mortgage or potentially an HOA if you have one, which like fucking everybody does nowadays. It's the maintenance. I mean, you are responsible for everything. Just like Robbie said, patching some holes. And if it doesn't go the way that it should, it's $200. But if he would have hired somebody to come out and do that, it would have been $1,200.
No, that would have been $12,000.
Yeah, but nowadays it probably would.
This is 2024. It'd be
yeah, I know, right? It'd be $12,000. I forgot a zero. And I think that's what people don't stop to understand, even unless you're buying a brand new build with a warranty. And Doug mentioned the algorithm, and I don't know how this happened, but on TikTok or one of them, there's this dude that he goes in, he's an inspector, and he goes in at like the 1 year mark, I think, as part of the warranty inspections for these houses. And dude, the shit that he finds. Now I understand that he's only showing you the shitty ones, but I don't know how many houses he inspects in a week or a month or whatever, but he's got enough to make content for TikTok that's pretty solid. And some of this shit is fucking insane.
Construction workers are not doctors. See,
well, when they're not getting. Go ahead.
Doctors are theoretically supposed to be perfect. Theoretically, we all know how that goes. But
that's a sore spot for Adam.
Exactly.
All they do is practice medicine.
That's why they call it the practice.
Yep.
Well, you're also
airline pilot. That's another job where you're expected to fly the plane and land it. It's understood that while it may not be a technically perfect flight, you're supposed to get it there, not do barrel rolls with the people in the back and the whole nine yards.
The FAA has rules and regulations to try and keep you from, being exhausted. Doctors have rules and regulations on what, they can and can't do. These construction workers, the GCs, I mean, there's building code and whatnot, but these construction workers, they're not getting paid great, and they're getting rushed and pushed to build, 100 houses a month or year. Fuck, I don't know, whatever. So they're going in, they slap this shit together, and they don't give a fuck.
Because they're
finishing
working,
it and wrapping up
12 jobs simultaneously, because that's how everybody lines things up now.
Mm-hmm.
The time that you have to wait is not like if you have to have anything done. Let's say you decide you want to build a deck, and let's say you've got cash money on hand. They say, to build this deck, it's going to take $17,500. And you're like, okay, I've got that right now. I will give you a $1,000 deposit, so you know that I'm not going to screw you or whatever else. You give them a deposit so they can go start doing their thing in the whole 9 yards. But it's, even if you've got all the money, you're ready to go. The guy's looked at it. He's got other jobs lined up that he has to knock out before he can do yours. So, most of the time at the very earliest, it's going to be a week out, 2 weeks out, maybe a month out, what have you.
Well, and
because
then
they set those jobs up to line them up and do them simultaneously, because doing the work is what makes them money. So they want to have as much of that work lined up sequentially as possible.
Well, and they're going lowest bidder, because customer says, how much is a deck? And this guy says, $22,000 for me to pay good people to do good work. Another guy comes in and goes, shit, I could do that for $12,000, right? And the guy's, what's a customer going to do? Well, fuck yeah, I want to do it for 12. I had a somewhat similar situation with one of my houses, and this is another thing that I learned. I go to this GC. I said, hey, I want a deck built. I want concrete underneath it, and we weren't worried too much about what we spent. We wanted the job done. Guy comes in, he says, yeah, okay, cool. He then bids out that job to someone else. It wasn't even him or his people doing the job. He bid that job out to someone else. So if we said we'd pay him $20,000, he bid the job out to some group of fucking assholes for $12,000.
Right.
Well,
he bid it to the 12,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that you can do at that point is say, well, you're not getting paid until this thing is fixed, this thing is fixed.
Well, that's what we did. Well, that's what we had to do. But at that point, and the GC started blaming that other company, that other crew. He's like, well, they did. And I said, whoa, dude. I was like, who? And he starts, and that's when I realized that those were not his guys. He bid that out. And I was trying to explain to this fucking dude, I said, I don't care who they were. This is your responsibility. You will get this fixed. Because what happened was they didn't permit it. And in the town that I lived in at the time, you had to have a permit for something like a deck because it's lag bolted to the house. And as soon as you connect it to the house, it has to be permitted. So someone just happened to notice this giant deck. It was like 25 feet by fucking whatever. I don't even remember. It was huge, or 40 feet by like 25 feet. And
Yeah, I remember it. You did have a big deck.
It was a big fucking deck, baby. Yeah. So they get shut down. Well, this guy's driving back and forth one day while I'm mowing the yard, and he's staring at me. Finally, I just stood up on my mower and threw my arms up like, the fuck? I mean, I knew this dude was eyeballing me. He pulls up. Turns out he's the guy that shut him down. So I'm being a little pissy. I'm like, what's going on? So he walks me through and shows me everything they did wrong. And as I'm looking at it, I realize, yeah, that's fucked up. You can't do that. So I thanked the guy, called him up. But this GC didn't want to take any responsibility for it. So again, it comes down to, if that GC would have only tried to make $3,000 off that job, maybe he would have brought somebody in that did a decent job. But instead, he farmed it out to the absolute cheapest, lowest bidder. Well, to do, what's the old manufacturing triangle? Cost, time, and quality. And you can only have 2 out of the 3. So if you want it to be cheap and fast, you're going to have to sacrifice quality. If you want quality and cheap, then you're going to sacrifice the time that it takes to do it. It's fucked up, and it's getting worse, I think, before it gets better. So point being is that if you buy a new build, you don't know what the fuck you're getting. And if you buy an old build, you're going to have to do some work to it. But I was thinking about it today after that conversation that I had with my buddy. And because I told him, I said, man, I get it. Everybody tells you right now, renting is stupid. You're wasting your money. You're wasting your money. Hold on. My cat has to have a fucking psychotic breakdown. This is totally not me throwing something at her. Where is she? I don't even know where she is.
Hello.
Yeah, there's the hello. Yeah, that's how you know she's done. She realizes where she is. Oh, no, she's not done yet. No, not yet. Not yet.
More echolocation.
It's an old cat. So
21 years old, baby, still trucking right along. But I was telling him, I said, I get it, man, because everybody tells me, I have a great job. I like my job, make decent money, and everyone says, you're stupid for renting. It's a complete waste to rent. And I disagree with that. I tell them that I have a subscription for a roof over my head, and that
Housing as a service.
Housing as a service, exactly.
Haas.
This is my house. I've owned 2 homes, so I'm not an idiot. Like I understand how it all works. My first house I bought right in the 2008 housing crisis. So when people say, well, the thing about buying a house though is that you get equity, that's not necessarily true, right? I mean, yes, typically it is true, but not always. Anything can happen. And
it's like anybody who says that who's never looked at an amortization schedule is an idiot.
Right.
Exactly. I'm just saying, it's like, I live in an apartment, and I'm not like, oh, he's talking about me and blah, 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 and I'm all upset. It's the amortization schedule when you get, it's like, I know there's a lot of people out there that have bought houses, and they have to show you the amortization schedule, but they make sure to bury that in the back of the paperwork.
Yeah.
After you've already signed about 40 forms, and they know you're sort of phasing out of existence at this point. And yes, that's by design.
That was about the 37-minute mark. Yeah.
Not sure if you're even spelling your name right anymore, Robbie.
Nope. Quit.
Scribble.
Yeah, X. And there's a reason why that paperwork is so complicated and long. Of course. That's so, that's so they can hide all the dicks. That's what it's about.
You signed for this dick.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about the amortization schedule, just pull one up, look at one, and look at because people talk about building equity. Well, look what you're actually paying on the equity on the loan that you got for literally the first 10 years.
Right. You're not, and
The
that's
bank wants to make all of their money up front. And then as you mature into the life of the loan, then they're ready to get that debt off their books. So then, then they want that's why it's like once you start reaching a certain point in your mortgage, they'll start sending you letters of, well, if you pay this amount, you will have completely paid off your mortgage. They will start putting that in front of you because realistically, now they're just trying to get the last little bit of your money out of you that repays the actual loan, because they already made most of the money that they were going to make off of you in the first 15 years. And unless you're buying a house for the long term and you do a standard 30-year mortgage like most people do, it really doesn't benefit you until you get 7 years in, 9 years in, to where you've started to build up equity, unless you've been paying more than your house payment the entire time.
And that's, and I want to be clear that I'm not shitting on anybody that's buying a house, Robbie. When Robbie said, "Hey, I found a house, I'm going to close on it," I was like, "Great!" I was happy. I mean, I am genuinely happy for him. He wanted a house, he bought a house. I'm happy for him. But I get really irritated when people tell me that I'm an idiot because I rent. And it's like, well, I rent for a lot of different reasons. I'm single. I like having a life, and I remember having a house and having to spend the weekend tending to my yard. I had an acre. The house in Charlotte wasn't so bad, but I still had to mow the yard. If something went bad, I had to call someone. If the roof leaked, I had to get someone to come out and look at it. If my dishwasher died, whatever. Yeah, I rent, and I'm not making that equity, but you know what I'm not doing? I'm not taking care of a yard. I don't have to fucking worry about any of my appliances. If my furnace goes bad at 2 a.m. on a cold winter's day, I put in an emergency thing, and later that morning there's somebody here fixing my shit, and I didn't pay for that. I don't have to come up. Many years ago, 2010, 11, I had to replace an air conditioner, and it was $5,000, and it took them a fucking week to get everything and get there. And this was in the Alabama heat. So there are, I told my buddy, I said, I understand everybody tells you that you're an idiot if you're renting, and that, you're going to build all this equity and that there's no reason to ever rent. And I said, man, that's bullshit. There is a call for renting. I don't know that I'm going to be in Colorado for 10 more years. Right. So to Doug's point, will I make any equity? God forbid in the next 2 or 3 years we see another housing bubble pop, and all the people that are sitting on houses right now lose all that equity or wind up in the fucking hole like I did. We held on to that house. We bought in like 08, 09. Whenever, like I said, it was right as the bubble was popping, and I got divorced. I gave the house to my ex-wife. She sold it in 2020, I think, ish. And she made a decent amount of money off of it. I mean, it wasn't anything stellar by any means. But yeah, that took 10, 12, about 12, 13 years before it recovered and she was able to make any profit off of it. So I don't know. I just, the whole narrative that people are, I don't like the negative, the whole, you're stupid if you rent, like, fuck off.
Right. Well, I mean, let's be completely honest. We're going to be completely honest, lay all our cards on the table.
I'm usually lying out my ass.
That's typically right.
So we know.
It's just different dicks. You're going to get fucked. They are going to fuck you.
Yep.
It's just a question.
Yep.
Hey, it's like maybe you feel like a purple dick today,
right?
Or maybe a red dick.
I like to rent my dick, I don't
want to lock into one dick for 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still getting
hell
fucked.
At 90 miles an hour.
I mean, because it's like the whole system is, as far as if anybody owns a business, and this is especially true in the case of corporations, uh, their one of their jobs is to maximize their profit.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody that owns a business, and notice I did not say charity, everybody that owns a business wants to extract as much money from you as possible. Now, that's
Yeah.
not saying everybody that owns a business is literally just trying to bleed you dry, but they are trying to maximize their return from you.
Sure.
Now, the the trend in recent years, though, has kind of become more disturbing because all along there's been a profit motive, but not to be Captain Nostalgia here, but the way it seemed many moons ago was that they were trying to make a decent amount of money off of a person, but just try to maximize the amount of people that they were getting that money from, creating a larger pool of money. And it's like, okay, people, especially if people recognized it as a decent value, hey, let's get this out there, get everybody in on this, blah, 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 blah. They made a lot of money. And then later on, it seemed like, well, this is the amount of money that we're extracting per interaction or per customer or per what have you. And it seemed like at that point, everybody started like, well, let's see how many products we can force this person into buying or services we can force this person into buying. And they try to lay everything in the world on, and they try to make all their money off of you in particular. And it doesn't matter what business that's in. It's like they pretty much they want you to be in a position where you're doing okay, but you are giving them personally all of your money.
Well, and I think, and like you said, nostalgic, the old back in my day. But we've talked about customer service, having gone to shit, and everything's become disposable. It's cheaper to just replace it.
It makes them more money to be able to replace it. And the weird thing is, there have been, if you look back into it, there was a point, and that point was generally the Great Depression.
It's been my whole life.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of I'm okay depression. But now when you get back to the Great Depression, there were a lot more durable goods back in the day.
Sure.
When you bought a thing, that thing was going to last for a certain number of years.
And companies took pride in that too, right? And I think that goes back to what you were saying about
because
them.
There are actual conspiracies about that. If you start looking into it, if anybody wants to go down a rabbit hole, look specifically at light bulbs.
I knew you were going to say it. We've actually talked about this before. The light bulb mafia or whatever they call themselves.
It was a literal conspiracy that they decided we don't want anybody making a light bulb that lasts entirely too long.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to live a certain amount of hours and then require replacement, so they could in turn keep those factories running, keep a certain supply coming in and a certain supply going out. With the light bulbs having a specified life, they knew when that was going to expire and you were going to need more light bulbs. So all they had to do was keep making light bulbs, offer them at a semi-competitive price to everyone else, and then just keep the machines on, that kept the people employed at the factory and the whole nine yards. But there was a literal conspiracy, not like that was in the dark, shadowy corners. No, I mean, government people, a lot of people were aware of it, just not the general public.
Yeah, and to be clear, when Doug says it was a conspiracy, he does not mean conspiracy theory. This happened. This is a real thing, where they did that, and you would have to, if you were a light bulb manufacturer, you would have to, excuse me, you would have to send in a sample of your product, and they would test it, and if it lasted too many hours, they were like, no, you gotta bring this thing back down, because they were, like you said, they're losing sales. So planned obsolescence is a real thing. They want things to break, so you have to buy them again. So there's no.
The most modern example is your phone.
Oh God, right, the cell phone.
Yeah, because before we started getting into real smartphones and the whole nine yards, the thing that wore out on your phone the fastest was the battery. And originally, when you're talking older phones, pre-internet on your cell phone,
the Nokia, fuck yeah,
right? All of those battery packs were removable, so you could turn around. And when that battery quit working right, you would just order a new battery, slap it on the phone, and now your phone was, it may be a little worse for wear on the outside, but it was basically as good as new as long as it was still functioning properly. You just replaced the battery and you kept going with that phone. So when they started coming out with smartphones, and they had operating systems for those smartphones, and they were connected to the internet, the current operating system, security state of the device, the whole nine yards started coming into play. So, it's like, I'm sure there's probably a couple of people out there still rocking first generation smartphones, and they've, but it's like, they've sacrificed security and features and blah, 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 and the whole nine yards. So now, it's like, that's the biggest thing. The last 3 phones that I've bought, but prior to that, I was just buying phones when my phone would not charge right anymore, since I couldn't actively replace the battery myself. I would take a look at getting the battery replaced. It's generally not that expensive. But there would be a new phone that would be out, and I would like, well, that one's probably better. It's probably more up to date, what have you. So I would just go out and get another one. But the last several that I have retired is because they stopped getting fucking security updates.
Oh yeah, they use the obsolescence there is they can do it with the software. All of the major manufacturers have done this, from Samsung, Apple, Google, all of them, and they go, oh man, yeah, they can't run that anymore. That's like, yeah, okay, dick.
Buy a new one or you'll get fucking hacked.
Right, yeah, exactly.
What a great business model.
And I understand some throttling and stuff like that. Like if you're rocking a iPhone 3G and we're up to the 15, and they're like, okay, bro, look, we can't keep supporting all of these models, all of these phones forever. I get that to a point, but the
problem is that all these companies went public, and when you go public, your number one responsibility is to make more money every year
for the shareholders. Absolutely.
The company fucking goes under, because if I buy stock and it starts going down, I just sell it.
And I sell my stock, right? And that's one of the biggest problems. I've talked before about the Dodge brothers versus Henry Ford way back in the early 1900s, where Ford wanted to spend money on like educating his workers and like giving money back to them and everything. Well, the Dodge brothers sued him, and the courts mandated that when you have a public company, that company's number one priority is to make money for the stockholders, bar none, nothing else. Right. And you can look that up. But I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what they said or what they
Right.
created when they did that. Because like
Now-
Adam said, at that point,
It's legally, they have to only look out for profit.
right? It's all about
Yeah.
profit at that point.
And now I'm saying this because I don't want anyone to think that Adam or Dan secretly hopes communism takes over. Now,
I think
could
we
do
could
that
have
as
capitalism without having a fucking casino on Wall Street. I think we could have capitalism without all that.
Right.
I do. I believe in capitalism. I really do, because it has created some of the most amazing products on the planet. Because
Right. I just think
better mousetrap.
our guardrails
Right.
need a leg up, because we are approaching the time. It's like we're not quite there yet, and we've talked. It's like I've talked about dicks a lot here. There's
You're pretty
there's more.
fascinated with penises.
Yeah, there's more dicks, and there's more dicks in waiting. There's as of yet unpenetrated dicks out there that they are still waiting to screw you with.
Yep.
And they're inventing new dicks
Every day.
And
Dick Theory with Doug.
somebody is trying to figure out how to build a better, faster dick to fuck you deeper and harder than ever before. But I've got a feeling that there will come a reckoning at some point, but I am not advocating for the end of capitalism. I'm just advocating for more consumer protection.
Well, and sadly,
communism or is like capitalism. Nobody that I'm aware of has ever had to build a wall to keep people inside of their capitalist territory.
Socialism, capitalism, or communism.
No,
and I think
the Berlin
capitalism,
Wall very famously was to separate capitalism from communism.
Right. You see how that worked out.
Right. I mean, if we wouldn't have done the Berlin airdrop, Russia would have starved out the people in East Berlin.
Mm-hmm. And I think I am a fan of capitalism, and the big, and again, the big problem, and I wish people would go read their history on the Roman Empire and the divisiveness that crumbled it. But nowadays, if you say, "Oh, I believe in capitalism," you get these ultra liberals who are, pushing for communism, and they want this beautiful utopia that no country that has instituted communism has ever found. By the way, I'd like to point that out. They are zero for fucking whatever. So if I say I like capitalism, oh, you like people starving and you like being taxed to death and all that. Sigh. And when I say, like Doug, I think we need to put more guardrails up, then the ultra conservatives are all, oh, so you fucking you want to be a communist, huh? You want to suck Kim Jong fucking's dick, And it's like, God, Jesus, fuck, man, no. Why can we not get in the middle? Why can we not have capitalism with, like Doug said, some guardrails? Problem is that the people that make those guardrails are your federal government, and you want to talk about somebody sucking dick, right? We're in the OCP robot. What is it? Fuck. What was it Detroit that RoboCop?
Yeah, it was OCP, and it's based in Detroit, and OCP literally bought the city,
right?
And they were running it as a corporate entity, which sounds like the
Juggalos? Are you just talking about like
libertarian
the
orgasm?
Yeah, and Japanese anime, a lot of like the Akiras and stuff like that. A lot of the Japanese sci-fi has been, well, sci-fi in general has been predicting that for 30, 40 years. Fuck, probably further back than that because I'm old.
Well, at
and we're
some
seeing
point,
it.
the money is going to have to get out of politics, because
right, and you're never going to see that.
as long as you've got the money in politics, because there's graphs out there where you take a look at your average citizen. If they take something to their congressman, senator, what have you, and they want something done, unless that particular person is already passionate about that subject, or sees, hey, this is really screwed up, and I feel like I personally have to do something about that, which have fun eliciting that reaction out of a politician. I'm just saying that out loud.
That's terrible. How much will it make me? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, but if you turn around and donate a large amount of money to their campaign, you suddenly get their ear, and your request goes way up the priority list.
Yep.
We've seen this happen countless times before, and it's going to continue to happen. I wish it didn't. I wish there was a way out, but I don't currently see it.
No, I don't. And no. And sadly, I think that things are going to get worse before they get better, possibly worse before they get worse. I don't know. But like I said, until we get more people that can understand going up the middle and agreeing, on a little bit from each side. And I know people on both sides. I know people that are ultra liberal and they won't fucking listen at all. And I know people that are ultra conservatives and they won't fucking listen at all. And
right.
God
the cat
forbid.
Toys are working, man.
Yeah, right. Absolutely they are. And I'm just, I'm smart enough to know that there are a lot of dumb fucking people out there and there ain't much I can do about it, but keep, stockpiling certain things and hoping I never have to use them. So.
Well, I mean, political campaigns cost a ton of money, and it's more money than any person could pay. So everyone that you see on a ballot's been bought and paid for already.
Absolutely,
so
they have.
Good luck.
You can go find numbers on like Ted Cruz had a net worth of like $6 million when he got into politics, and now he's worth like $36 million. Well, now wait a minute.
What's his salary?
wait, right, exactly. I'm sure he's just made really, really, really good
investment choices
and business decisions while he's been in politics and passing laws and such.
No, bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Yeah, it's totally just him. Total coincidence that him and basically every other fucking politician that has been there for 100 years. And funny story. The people that signed the Declaration of Independence, go look at how old most of them were when they signed the Declaration of Independence. I think the oldest one was like Thomas Jefferson, and he was 33. The rest of them were all
you died when you were 34 back then.
There's that, yeah, too. But they were like 19, 20, 21 years old when they, on July 4th, 1776, whatever, I was reading something and they showed the different people that signed the Declaration of Independence and how old they were. And it was like, huh. And you didn't get paid. Most people didn't want to be politicians. They were like, hey, buddy, it's your turn. And you're like, fuck. All right. What do I got to do? And I think that's an interesting divestment from what we have now.
The thems decided, hey, you need to advertise and put out to all these people. Let me give you some money to do that because I believe in you. And it's totally not because I own this whiskey distillery that I need you to do something for me on.
Yeah. Yeah. And 2 years later, hey, remember all that money I gave you? And it sounds like re-election's coming up again. And we wouldn't want all they, them to become was, were's now, would we? So, yeah, that's how that goes. What are you going to do?
Lay down and die. That's my plan.
Look for the dicks. Look for the dicks.
Beware the dicks. Beware the dicks, everybody. That's what we're here to say. We need some glasses that you can put on and look around and you see all the dicks.
Yeah,
There's
because
penises. There's penises coming at me from everywhere.
they have rotating barrel dick cannons to fire thousands of dicks at you per second.
Okay, Mia Khalifa, calm down.
Dicks per second.
This here right here, this thing will throw huge black cocks at you at 10 dicks per second. You can't find anything more explosive than this dick cannon right here.
Really not dicking around.
Adam just couldn't take it anymore.
Giggity.
Big black cocks.
Dicks. 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 More dicks.
All the dicks. Adam's